Yes. I will. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Yes, we can talk about pre-K very quickly. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now you know you want to do those spreadsheets. Okay. Are you sure? Okay, all right. We'll sit down afterwards and talk about it and figure out what we can do. We do have our pre-K SLOs are developed in conjunction with Bright from the Start and Decal, and our new ones were posted on SharePoint yesterday. They had some revised standards. We got all of those in place, and so those are there available now. So if you've been waiting for the pre-Ks to get updated, that is there. So I've got about 3 of those very important details that I'm going to be sending out to you as soon as I get back to Atlanta, so that some of you can finish that process, because I know that you were waiting on those little pieces of information. And we'll get together and figure out what we can do to help that process with you as well. Any other questions? Yes. Woo, okay. Yes. Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And we actually will, our students with disabilities, we're working with that department to develop a holistic rubric, and that's going to be a later submission as well. Their window is actually not going to start until October, and so we're going to have to do that process. And also, once you get your data in, if you need to make adjustments with your tiers based on that target, that's something as well. So, yeah, it's not something that once you click it, it's locked. Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good question, though. Yes. Mm-hmm. If they have an IEP in place where they're identified as a student that would be assessed with GAA, we've got sort of the rubric would be used. Their growth target would be measured by that rubric. It wouldn't be measured by the traditional first grade pre and post assessment. Their rubric would be more situational. It's going to look a little bit different to meet the needs of those students. And we're working with the department with students with disabilities, and we're going to give you very specific guidance with that before it comes to that point. I know we need to be very mindful of what their needs are and how that needs to look. So that's why we've rolled that part out last, and why we're really working closely to make sure that it's lined up exactly the way it needs to be before we put it in your hands. But we'll get guidance to you prior to you needing to do that pre-assessment with your first grade child that you were referencing. Yeah, that's something we really struggled with, the balance, and it's very important that we're considering the teacher part of it as well as the student. Any other questions? Okay. As you're leaving, we've got 2 sets of information at the door for you. One was information for the sequence, and this is the one for the change. Okay, this is the sequence of teacher and leader keys, the blue one. It's going to give you an outline of information, when it's due and the time process. And then this is leader keys. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I know that you can see that they have used your feedback, and we certainly appreciate everything that you've told us and told the department that needs to be tweaked and reworked, and you can see that they've taken that information to heart and really done that. I loved that the governor called y'all laboratories. I just thought that was so neat that he said that you are our laboratories. I know you feel like lab rats sometimes, don't you? But that's great that he sees, as we see you, as those people on the front line, very courageous, stepped out there, ready to do this work. And yes. but not here. They are very fine, pristine places that are, the cutting edge is occurring there. And so we have labeled you in the teacher keys and leader keys as we communicate to US Ed as cohort 1. So when you hear that you are cohort 1, know that that's the 26 race to the top districts. Cohort 2 are those volunteer districts that are not race to the top, but they've come on board and they are entering the work ahead of everybody else. And then cohort 3 will be those districts who come on now as we get them on board for 14-15. And cohort 4, that's those 8 holdouts, those people that are holding out to the last minute. So if you know any of those superintendents and folks in those districts, tell them to come on and get on board. We told you that the purpose of this summit was twofold. One, that you would hear from practitioners, from each other, about the challenges and about the successes that they've had, and I hope that you have found that to be the case. And the other purpose was that we were going to empty our minds to you. We were going to tell you everything that we know to this point. Our minds are empty. Our brains are empty. We have to run back now and fill them up again. But we hope that you have enjoyed this. Thank you for staying with us to the very end. If you have district-specific questions, our implementation team will be right here as long as you need us. So I hope you have safe travels back home, and thank you so much for your attendance.